Hey guys, it's Rachel here, and today I'm going to be filming my late February wrap up. I'm sorry I've been kind of MIA this past week or so. I've just been super busy and really haven't found the time to film, and honestly I really haven't had the motivation to film, but I am back, and today I'm going to actually be uploading two videos. I will be uploading my February wrap up, and I will also be uploading a book review over one of the books that I'm going to put in this February wrap up, so stay tuned for both of those. But other than that, let's just go ahead and get this started. So the first book that I read this month was The Unbound by Victoria Schwab. I actually finished this book this month. I think on the second day of February I finished this book. This is the sequel to The Archived, and I loved it. I am not sure which one I loved more, to be completely honest with you. I gave them both 5 out of 5 stars, but this book was so good. I even have a couple marks in here like I did for The Archived, but pretty much this takes off more or less right about 3 weeks after The Archive ends, and it's pretty much Mackenzie's journey into high school, more or less. But it was really good, and I highly recommend this series if you have not picked it up. The next book that I read this month was on the recommendation from Kiera from Freckle Fantasy, and that was Hopeless by Colleen Hoover, and I loved this, you guys. You don't even understand. I loved this. I read this in a single day, one day, that's it, and this book has 403 pages in it. I devoured it. It was so good. I have not really read too much new adult, so when she kept raving about this, I thought I'll go ahead. I will not lie, I did cry, but it was at the very last few sentences of the book, and they were so heart-wrenching. I am not going to explain what this book is about because I really didn't know what the book was about when I went into it, and I think that's a lot better to go into this book without having any idea of really what it's about. Just suffice it to say that it is about a girl and a guy and a past. It's amazing. It's amazing. 5 out of 5 stars. I highly recommend this, and yes, just pick this up. After that, I picked up This Star Won't Go Out by Esther Earl, and this is the one that I'm going to be uploading the book review of. Now, this is nonfiction, and this is pretty much the story or the life of Esther Earl, who was a nerd fighter who died a couple of years ago of cancer, thyroid cancer to be exact, and this is pretty much a whole bunch of her stories that she had written, journal entries from her family, her friends, John Green, a whole bunch of different people, and this was really beautiful. There were several parts in this, and I will explain this in my review when I upload it, that I just had to put the book down because I was just in tears, just absolute sobbing tears, because there are so many parts of this book that really hurt me, and especially for the fact that Esther Earl does pass away. But I gave this also a 5 out of 5. This was phenomenal, and I highly recommend this. The next book I read after that was going to be The Arithmetist by Brandon Sanderson, and I also read this with Kiera from Freckle Fantasy. I will say that I did enjoy this book. This is middle grade, I guess you can say, but I don't think that it was anything absolutely amazing. I did give it a 4 out of 5 stars, I believe. I really loved the world building. I loved all the drawings in here. I loved the whole concept of arithmetics. I enjoyed all of that. However, this, you can tell, this suffers from first book in a fantasy series syndrome. Pretty much this was focused a lot on the world building, explain to you what Arithmetist was, whatnot, but I think that it could have been a lot better. I really loved Joel's character. I loved how intelligent he was, and I think that is super important. And I will also just go ahead and insert the fact that I think that Brandon Sanderson did a phenomenal job with this book as far as like encouraging you to, I guess, encouraging young readers to love math. There's a lot of arithmetism, geometry, all that history. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here like that, and I think that is a beautiful idea, and he did a wonderful job in encouraging younger readers to want to be a part of that stuff. I will say that there were some characters that I was highly annoyed with, namely Melody. I don't really know that I completely understand her point in the story. I get different parts, but overall I found Melody to be kind of annoying. But as a whole, I actually really enjoyed this book, and if you are looking for a kind of beginning, middle grade type fantasy series, then I highly recommend this. It was really good. Next, I read Finding Cinderella by Colleen Hoover. This is the novella that takes place after Hopeless, and I think before Losing Hope. And this is the story of one of Holder's friends and one of Sky's friends. I will say that although I enjoyed it and I enjoyed the writing style, I found the novella to be completely unrealistic. Like, even within the first few pages I was like, no. I really loved getting to read some perspective of Six, Sky's best friend, and I really enjoyed that. But overall, I think I give it a 3 out of 5 stars. It wasn't anything amazing. I did enjoy getting back into that world, kind of, but for the fact that I found the book to be, the novella to be so unrealistic, I had to go ahead and give it a 3 stars. And then finally, I finished up the month by reading Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo, and I read this with Stephanie from @Walker, and I really like this. I will admit that I found Alina to be quite annoying sometimes. I found her to be a little bit too trusting. I found different areas with Mal to be a little bit annoying, and I will say that I loved the Darkling. I don't know what it is about him, his mysteriousness, I just found that to be a wholly sexy, more or less. I really like the Darkling, and I really want to read more about the Darkling. I really like this, and I do want to really read Siege and Storm, and I really want to, so that I can get ready for Ruin and Rising, which is the 3rd book in the trilogy, and it's coming out very soon. But overall, I think I gave this book a 4 to 5 stars. I really enjoyed this, and I highly recommend it if you like fantasy. So yes, those are the 6 books that I read this month. I'm not going to really do a March TBR. I can tell you with certainty that I will be continuing to read Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. I have been reading this. I am about 84 pages into it. I'm really enjoying it. We are just now starting to get to the parts where they're starting to explain what it is that they're wanting to do. I really love Kelsier's character, and I really love Vin right now. So yeah, I will be continuing the story. I will also be reading with certainty The Diviners by Libre, and I am reading this with Maria from Book Lover Writer, I believe. I'll link her down below. We will be reading this together, and I am pretty excited about that. And then, very excitingly, I will be reading The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness, and I will be reading this on March 10th with several booktubers. We'll be reading this with Riley from Riley Marie. I will be reading this with Melissa and Lindsay from Book BFFs, and I will also be reading this with Brianna from Two Fab Sisters. So yes, if anybody else wants to pick this up while we're reading it, go ahead and do so. We are all so excited to read it, and I cannot get to it. I have picked this up several times in the past, and I couldn't get through it, but I think that it'll be really nice having the motivation with all 4 of the other girls to get through this, and I cannot wait, and I'm so excited to get through this. But yes, other than that, I'm kind of open to what I'm going to be reading this month. I may be reading The Hobbit. I'm not completely sure really what's going to go on yet. Side note, yes, this is my birthday month. My birthday is March 15th, and I am ridiculously excited. I will be 24, and I realized yesterday on Twitter that a lot of you are super young. I noticed on Manuel's Twitter that he was saying that he was about to turn 17, and I was just like, oh my god, that is blowing my mind that I'm about to be 24 and he's not even 17 yet. So I guess I never really realized how young a lot of the people that I'm talking to is, but at the same time it's really nice given the fact that we're talking about books and we have a shared interest. Just a side note for those of you who watch me that are like real life friends, like family and whatnot, I will go ahead and leave my Amazon wish list down below in case y'all are curious as to what I would like to receive and whatnot. But yes, other than that, thank you guys so much for watching, commenting, liking, subscribing. I love all of you, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye. So at number 5, we have Hater by David Movie. This is, I have a review that I have filmed for this book that I have not posted yet, but basically I think that this would translate really well into a movie.